Hey everyone, we're gonna do a quick video. All right, what's it on, Arch? And just a couple of bullet points, right, I'm going to hit. First of all, you don't need to do the valves that often. It's actually quite rare that you need to do the valves. That's the point number one I want to try to make in this video. So when do you need to do the valves? Well, typically these motors like this, I'm working on this one right now and I'm doing a series on these. And these things are 10 years old or more. They've been used and they've been sitting out, right? Most of our lawnmowers, they live a couple of feet above the ground. If it sits over the winter, maybe a little bit longer, animals could pull up in here and drive in. It's like a drive-in movie theater and a bed and breakfast for these guys. They live in these damn things. And these things run in dirt and filth, so it just gets in there anyway. You got to get all that stuff out. You got to pull the tins off and get in here and clean in here. So while you're there, right, there's really no reason to just do the valves, because if it's new to you, if it's a machine you found, or it's coming in for a service and it hasn't been serviced in a long time and it's not running or not running well, right? And people think, oh, I just want to pay for a tune-up. Well, that's good. Go somewhere else, right? Because there's really no such thing as a tune-up on a lot of these things, right? There really isn't, okay? It's usually a repair. How you price it is up to you, but it's usually a repair. And if it hasn't been done in a while and the carburetor needs to come apart, the gas tank is full of junk, right? I mean, I just went through all of these. The gas tank, in fact, I just put a little bit of water left in here, so I put a little fuel in it, and I'm going to let it slosh around, and I got to blow it out again. So it's a repair, right? So at that point, yes, do the valves, right? Take all the covers off, get in here and clean your magneto system up, your igniter system, maybe pull off the armature, clean that off, clean all of your contact points and grounding points, because this way you have a good ground. Make sure the magnet is clean. Make sure the armature is clean. Make sure there's nothing in the way. Then you can set it to 10 or 12 thousandths. You can get a good tight gap because there won't be any rust in the way. You're going to have a good ground so that the coil is going to fire and also shut off, right? The machine will work properly. And I have a video on why cleaning these armatures is a big bonus. I've actually went through a whole bunch of these and I'm going to do it again. And what I found is that a lot of times I'll put an ohm meter on these coils, and if it's under 6,000 ohms, it's usually okay. But I'll put ohm meters on these things, and the ohm meter's all over the place. The metal is not as dirty. I can't get a good contact with the terminals, and then I clean it, and I oil it, and I do all these things, and 99% of the time, the coils are fine, right? They almost never really burn out. There are electronics in here. Okay, so they can burn out, and they do burn out. Just to back up, when I do this is when it's not running, or it's not running right, and it hasn't been serviced. So it's not really a tune-up at that point. It's a repair. And that's what I consider a tune-up. So then I can come in here, I get everything cleaned off, I put my magneto back, and I get that all going good, spark is good. Then I want to go over to a valve system. I can see when it's top dead center. I can move the magnets around right between the armature, and I know them at TDC. I know all of this stuff, and I can turn it over by hand, plug always out, right? Make everything easier. Then you do the valves, okay? And you're going to be doing the carburetor, you're going to be doing everything else, because it's just not that often that you need to do it. So that's the first part of it, guys, and I just want to keep stressing that. ACR. What's ACR? Automatic compression release. I just threw out a motor with a bad ACR. It was a newer Kohler on a Toro that I sold a guy a little while back. Thing was in beautiful shape. It did a great job on the machine. Ran the machine. The motor looked like it was brand new, right? Ran the machine for a little while, then he couldn't pull start it. His 17-year-old kid was trying to pull start it. He couldn't pull start it. So I got it, and just as you got the engine to roll past, ignition, so it's top dead center, the maximum amount of pressure from the compression, and this motor had great compression, and then maybe you fire a little bit and the gases are expanding, so you're hitting that point of maximum, almost maximum force as you're pulling the pull starter. It just wouldn't go. It's like locking up. And then if you just kind of sneaked it past that point and gave it a pull, it would start because the motor was clean, everything was adjusted, the valves were all, so the thing was just ready to run, but you couldn't pull it because the compression's too high, and the compression's very high, and then you're firing the gases that are in here, and they're trying to expand, so that's increasing the pressure inside even more. You can't pull it. I always get interrupted by something, right? You can't pull it. So what they created was a little mechanism inside a lot of these motors. They call it automatic compression release. It's basically inertial. It's on a system of, it's like a lever, right, and a flyweight. And so what happens once the motor starts, it flies out of the way and the cam returns to normal operation. But when you go to just pull it over at the few RPMs you're going to get either from a starter motor or from just pulling it, right, it gets in the way and it lifts the cam, and it just breaks a little bit of the compression by opening a valve, all right? So the valve opens up a little bit, some of the pressure bleeds out the exhaust, and it makes it just that much easier. And then once the piston's up, you're in compression mode, you fire it with, you fire your plug with your magneto. If you get enough RPMs going for that, the motor starts to swing around, it starts to build up a little bit of RPM, it's fired maybe once or twice, and then it takes over, and then the motor starts, it lights off, you let go of the cord or the starter motor key or whatever, and once she comes up into RPM a little bit, then that flyweight makes the thing fly out of the way, and the cam returns to normal operation. All right, so that's essentially what ACR does. Now, when I threw the motor out, I went and grabbed another motor. I told the guy I'm probably just going to repower it with another Kohler because I had another nice Kohler. They break, all right? Now, when they break on a smaller Kohler engine or something like that, for me, I throw the motor away because he says, well, I like the motor and everything. I said, that's fine. You can like it all you want. You can have it. I don't want to do anything with it, right? I'm not going to go in there and fool, but I got another one. I got tons of them, right? It's not worth it. 3 bolts and it's done, and a cable. And I just clean up the new motor and just go through it the way I would normally go through any of my motors, and then he gets another motor, and it may not happen for a long time. If it's on a tractor or a bigger motor, 8 horsepower or higher, yeah, you'd probably most likely inclined to go in there and fix it. Hopefully it didn't fly off and get in the way of something and come out the side of the block or destroy something. So that's always a potential issue. If you have a motor with an ACR that's broken, well, how bad did it break? And if it broke into pieces, where'd those pieces go, right? So that's a question you got to ask yourself. On a more expensive motor, on a larger motor, my recommendation is you got to take the motor apart. You got to get in there and see if the motor is salvageable. All right, so that's your ACR operation, just to bleed off a little bit more compression. And so let's go to the video now, and hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much. It's hard to explain this stuff. Like I said, growing up, being a hot rodder and a motorhead, and many long nights of bench racing and talking about this and taking motors apart and looking at it and looking at cams and physically turning them over and looking to see what's going on, and then you go and you test it, right? So a lot of us don't get to have that, right? And fortunately I did. I'll see you guys in a bit. Check out the video. We're at top dead center right now, and so the left camera is looking at the valves, the right camera is looking at the magneto setup here, and this is where the magnet is, and you can see the location of the magnet. It is straddling the 2 armature laminates, all right? And you can see the cupping of the fan, and typically almost every motor is going to go in the clockwise direction, okay? So as the clock turns. So now, if we come forward, meaning clockwise, we can see, you're going to see some movement on the valve. You'll see it in the exhaust valve in a minute. All right, as we come around, there goes the exhaust valve. See it? And so our magnet's all the way over here. So all the way back here, that valve is closed. And you're not seeing any movement on the intake valve. Why? Because your intake valve's never going to be open when your exhaust valve is in the exhaust cycle. All right? It's a different scenario when we're coming up to fire because that has to do with overlap. But right now, we're just standard fare. So we're going to come back around. Here's our magnet coming. The magnet's down here. There's your exhaust. All right. Now, this is not TDC. This is just happens to be a stroke where obviously we're 360 degrees around, so where the magnet is back over here at the armature again. But our exhaust valve is not done yet. And look what's starting to happen. I'm going to dance back and forth right in this area. See what's happening? Okay. That's your overlap. That's the first part of overlap. And that's to kind of get the exhaust gases out, and using the velocity of the exhaust gases to help suck in fresh charge, and some of that fresh charge is going to also push some of those exhaust gases out. This has to do with, it's a kind of supercharging a naturally aspirated engine, and it also helps to get rid of old combustion gases. Just the simple principle of doing that, the cleaner the charge, the more oxygen and the more fuel is in there, and the less puke from the old fire, right? You're going to get more power out of it. It's also going to be better for the environment because it's not as dirty. So here we go. Right? Now we got exhaust closed. We've got intake, full intake. Intake's closed, okay? And I can feel this thing actually just kind of tried to swing around here. Our magnet's down here. All right, now look, see? There's your exhaust valve again. See it? And your magnet's all the way down here. It's right here. Okay, now there's an ignition system in here, and it's electronic. So it's going to try to fire the plug, not necessarily when the magnet is dead center, because you're already starting to build. And you'll see what I mean. Let's just stay on the valves for a minute. Okay. Exhaust is closing. Okay. There was kind of a compression bump there. And here we go. Right here. See the magnet right here? So it might actually start to fire here. All right. That's called ignition timing or ignition lead. All right. That's advanced timing because it's actually building up some charge here. Believe it or not. Okay. So we don't know exactly because you'd have to connect this to a meter and we'd have to look at the timing on that. See? So right in this area, no valve movement. All right, so that's how I do it. And again, there is no scenario that I can ever imagine not taking off this cover with a handful of bolts in order to do the valves, because you don't need to do the valves that often. And typically you need to do the valves maybe every second or third or fourth or fifth time. Yet you have to do a full motor tune-up, and a proper full motor tune-up is cleaning out the carburetor, taking it apart, or at least dropping the bowl and spraying something in here and getting that cleaned out. If you do it regularly, dropping the bowl isn't that hard to do, and make sure everything is good to go in there. You can spray it out with a little compressed air, low pressure air. You can get a little gum out in there, making sure your gap is good, making sure this magnet is clean. All right. What you're seeing on here is phosphor compound, by the way. I washed it with some acid. I used some special acids, and that's a part of the earlier episode on this. So that's what you're seeing here is a little bit of that zinc phosphor compound that is left as a precipitate, so that it doesn't flash rust after washing it. But anyway, you'd want to make sure this is de-rusted and clean, and you want to do that anyway because you want to make sure you're getting a proper gap. That's why I clean these things, and sometimes I even clean the rust off of the rest of it, because it can. I like to go to 10,000 so it can actually get in the way and hit the armature here. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Let me continue with this machine. I'm going to spray a little bit of paint on it right now, and we're going to put the covers back on, and I also need to do a little bit more with this carburetor because I'm not sure if this carburetor is good or not. So we'll be back in a bit. I hope that's helpful. Arch's Garage. Here we go. Do it here.